Here we are at Future Music, everybody at Jack's place. Let's go in and take a look. There's Jack. Hey, Jack.
Greetings, Bobbo. So, we came here today to talk about the Battery Museum. Let me show you the Battery Museum. So, the Battery Museum started as my reaction to California legislation stating that you could no longer throw batteries in the trash, nor fluorescent tubes, and a couple other things that were kind of household necessities and things that we have grown to be dependent on. So I then decided that the way to handle the whole thing was to elevate the battery from what we considered trash to high art and a collectible. So that's what started the Battery Museum. And the Battery Museum started in about 2003, probably 2002. And over that time, I've acquired quite a few batteries. Generally what I look for are foreign batteries, sticking primarily with 9 volt. Ancient batteries, ones that I'll find in old equipment, various states of decay and destruction. These are, for instance, Duracells. And these are not old batteries, but you can see that what a Duracell will do eventually is pop and blow its guts out. So if this happens inside your equipment, obviously that is a bad thing, because all the chemicals inside will come out as a result of that and leak all over. These little marks on the interior of the case are direct results of those batteries popping. And I've had friends send them to me from all over the world, and I've managed to collect quite a few really old ones as a result of it. And then these ones here, the new Max ones, those were all new stock old dead batteries that came out of Japanese percussion device that I was buying for a while.
They're all dead?
Yeah, they're all dead. One of the strongest ones I ever had, there's one particular Japanese battery in here that was in a 70s guitar. And the guitar continued to work. This one right here. This one says Rocket on it. And that one right back there. And that one still had electricity in it after about 30 years, and it was able to power the circuit in an active guitar from the 70s. That alkaline power one I picked up in Germany in 2006. There's some that a friend of mine in Denmark had sent me.
What about this wooden one?
The wooden one is actually a capacitor, but it fits into a slot where a 9 volt battery would fit, and I think that came out of a wireless unit. And so, you know, people continue to bring me batteries, and it's quite entertaining. The artwork is pretty amazing in them. And then I like ones that have an enormous amount of destruction to them, either by corrosion from, you know, the acid. Actually came from Las Vegas.
Sure.
And a friend of mine started collecting batteries that he would find on the street in Las Vegas. So this thing was thrown out and hit by cars so many times that it shed all the paint off of it. So you can only imagine the kind of abuse that this thing saw. And he brought me a few of them. I don't know.
What kind of battery is that?
This is a D. Yeah, that's a D.
Wow.
But this is something that somebody just threw out on the street, and it turned into that. So imagine how many times it had to be hit to knock all the paint off of it. Every one that he brought me in this, you know, in this level of destruction, had lost all of its paint. So, you know, have an experiment. Throw a battery on the ground and see how much paint comes off of it, because you'll see that the amount of times this has to be hit in order for that to happen is pretty incredible. Yeah. Thousands of times. This has to be run over thousands of times. So these were all off the strip in Vegas.
And you got salt and pepper shakers.
Yeah, salt and pepper shakers. A customer of mine gave me, you know, people will always try to thrill me with what they can find. So he gave me a set of salt and pepper shakers that were used, and then subsequently in my trolling around antique malls in Southern California, I found 2 sets of new old stock ones in their original boxes.
Now, why do you have 6 of them?
Yeah, so that would be 9 volts, by the way, if you want to look at it that way. So that was pretty cool. So I have 2 sets of those now. It's another. This is a classic. This is one that'll stick in pretty much everybody's mind that's over 35. That's probably some of the dopest artwork that ever appeared on a battery. The electric cat jumping through the 9 is a very memorable graphic from that company. The battery museum did start with a battery that is not here right now, but that's at home. That's an electro-harmonics battery from the 70s. The T-shirt that I have for the battery museum has that one on there. That's the one that started the whole thing. And I initially had that with a small sign that said Battery Museum at my old store on Sunset, and then that became the genesis of the battery museum. It's a couple of old C's, but the graphics are great, and you know, they really are pretty to look at, and they contain a lot of history. You know, this Pep Boys battery is a 70s one, as far as we can tell. Manny, Mo, and Jack representing. And then a little bit of corrosion on that one, which is always sexy.
But it hasn't blown up yet like these.
No,
like these Duracells.
The Duracells really are bad news, and we've dated some of them to see exactly how long that effect takes, and there's no real consistent.
This one says March of 2010 that it's blowing up.
Yeah, so you know, they don't get terribly old, and then this starts to happen. But the casing will start to bulge, and then like this one, you can see it's starting to bulge a little bit, and actually literally pushing all the guts out, and it will eventually pop like this one did, and all the cells come out, and it just makes a hell of a mess. So we caution people, don't leave Duracells in your equipment for very long, because you're going to be sad. Let's see if there's any other really compelling little goodies here.
I think I gave you this Vinny right here.
Oh, yeah, a nice graphic. Thank you. And then here's a new old stock one that's...
Is that Indian?
Sanil. This is...
Family?
This might be Brazilian. Brazilian batteries, the Brazilians regulate 9 volts very closely, and they're hard to get out of Brazil. This Radio Shack is a very old one. Another great graphic.
It's very swinging 60s.
Yeah, my feeling is this would be probably late 70s.
Nice.
But it's hard to, you know, it's very hard to document anything on them. You just have to kind of guess by sometimes the origins. I'm like, where you'll get them from will be a disclosure. Sometimes the graphics can be a little bit of a giveaway. This is probably the naughtiest of the batteries. Bioelectron stimulator. So God only knows where this thing came from. But there it is.
Nice.
Bioelectron, and this was given to me by Dave Isaac, who's a longtime contributor to the Battery Museum. Here's a nice, really destroyed H&W, and you can see it's just, you know, has a pretty serious case of battery cancer. We'd consider that terminal at this point, and they'll continue to rot. And, you know, it's leaving a little rust trail there. And I probably even shouldn't be touching that thing, but whatever. A funk battery. It's for digital life, by the way, with alkaline technology. And you can see the various uses. You can put in a camera, a little music player, your